Well, I think it's a great opportunity to acknowledge and recognize the contributions of Hispanic, Latino, folks in our community, and also I think acknowledges the journey, and the struggles and the different experiences that the Hispanic community has undergone over the years. So I think it's a positive thing. I've been very intentional about trying to recruit services that are culturally responsive or sensitive or meaningful. But then even just the fact that I will sometimes open a speech in Spanish, or if I know the clientele are Spanish speaking, or they might be parents of our youth in the audience and things like that. And I see that my staff really recognize that and get excited about that, to see that I'm able to connect with our audience and our clientele that way. I think celebrating diversity in our workforce is important and meaningful, but I think that it's different, obviously, from county to county, what diversity means depending on your community population. So I guess I think it's important to say diversity is important, but not simply for diversity's sake. I mean, I think it needs to be meaningful in your agency. And so I think that having a workforce that can relate from that background, that culture, maybe even a language perspective, I think makes the connection with our clientele very genuine. And although our staff from whatever background they're from have very meaningful connections with our clientele, there is something very personal and very genuine about that connection that you can make when you have similar experiences or similar culture, language, food experiences, those kind of things that in very casual conversation, or even when you're in someone's home, can really help to connect with someone on a very personal level. It might be a cop-out, but I have to say my dad. So my dad was also a community leader in Orange County, and but growing up, actually, when I got into the career, the probation field, I was looking at, of course, doing different things, and when I saw the job opportunity for probation open up that was going to be working in juvenile hall, I asked him, I said, what do you think about me working at juvenile hall? And his guidance was very clear and very, very quick. He said, absolutely. He said, it's important to do the jobs that no one else wants to do. And he said that working at juvenile hall would be very difficult. And working at juvenile hall is something that takes a very special kind of person, very special kind of character. And so he said, and he shared some of his life experiences of working in difficult environments. He was a social worker and things like that. And so he shared with me that being able to share that in a job interview, for example, having done something that none of the other candidates had done, was again something that he used to motivate me to always do what's difficult, always do what was hard, and I kept doing that throughout my career. So when I was a PO, I had a Spanish-speaking caseload, and I noticed it was interesting where if I didn't know someone spoke Spanish, and we would struggle with English for a while, when as soon as we would switch to Spanish, I could see personality come out, and different things were shared, and more depth in our ability to communicate. And so that was definitely one thing that I noticed was important or meaningful. But similarly, just the ability to chit chat about things, again, whether it was music or other mutual interests or things that I had experienced growing up or whatever culturally. Again, it's just a way that I was able to, kind of breaks the ice, and it was a way to relate to someone on a more personal level. But interestingly, as chief, I've had a couple of very, very poignant moments. again, I didn't know how it would be received, but I was leading a graduation for a correctional officer class, and I know that some of the folks that were graduating, were Hispanic, Latino as well, and I know their family was in the audience, and so and I've done it now at every graduation where I do a little introduction, a little welcome, thank them for supporting their son or daughter who was going through our class, and it was after the class, one of my staff members, Spanish-speaking staff member, was sitting in the audience, and she said, when you did that introduction, that there was like an 8-year-old girl in the audience, and her dad in Spanish said, look, Mia, he's like us. She told her, you could be up there someday. And so to have that kind of impact I would never have expected that, and so it just motivated me, to wow, I was just doing it to kind of make people feel comfortable or welcome, but to have perhaps even a deeper impact on a young child in the audience was something really, really meaningful. So we've been very intentional. Again, this has been something that I've worked towards, is to look to welcome, attract, and recruit folks, from our Hispanic communities, and again, because our clientele are majority Hispanic. And so what I've seen from our staff too, that have come from our those communities we work with most, is they've attended the same high schools, they know the street names, they know the gangs in those neighborhoods, and maybe grew up in those neighborhoods, and so they're able to connect with our clients at that level, and from a place of true understanding of where they grew up and what they've been through, and those kind of things. So when we are doing these recruitment outreach events these days, we've been going to high schools and even middle schools, and not just saying we're hiring, but saying we're hiring and we want you specifically because of those experiences that you've had. And so for folks who are interested in working in probation, the fact that you again come from a culture that we work with most, it brings with it just a different level of understanding and connection that we're looking for. So, and again, anyone can learn Spanish, and anyone can learn to connect with folks, and they do. And I don't want to discount the great work that anyone can do with any kind of culture, regardless of where you come from. But with our clientele, it is important, that we seek and open the doors for folks to apply, because it is something that we value a lot, that connection.